response to that, we have to create an environment that lives that countercultural experience. And what we often do as the church or synagogue is that we are equally stressed, rushed, busy. So if we're not actually modeling a different way of being, then why would they bother to come? It's just one more.
The classic situation, the rabbi gets up, Shabbat is important, be with your family, feed your soul, and I'm the only person who's really working on Shabbat, in an how do you do that differently? How do you do that? Or, I may know how I do it differently, but how do you reflect that and embody that and model that differently? So one of the ways in which I seek to address this group and these people is what I call in the book, but more largely what I'm kind of preaching and missionizing in the best, most universal sense of the word, is what I call spirit at the center. Spirit at the center of being and spirit at the center of ideology. Now, a little bit about that. What am I seeking to do through this spirit at the center approach? One is to cultivate, to tap what I think is existing in people already, an awareness of something greater than themselves. Now, it's something that they may or may not call God, but it's something that's more than us. And once we have that awareness, is there not a sense of accountability in some way to this greatness, to something bigger than ourselves that has given us something that we relish and appreciate? And isn't that sense of accountability expressed by our actions and attitudes to support and heal the world? Two, what I hope to do is to forge and develop a more consensual, communal, and focused language for spirituality. I'd like to give spirituality a little more meat on its bones. I'd like to make an attempt to try to ground it in something more than the panoply of offerings from ashram retreats to finding holiness with your guru in the ballroom of the Issaquah Marriott. Something a little more grounded, a little more focused. Three, through spirit at the center, I hope to reclaim timeless values from the shackles of ignorance and bigotry. And the key thing is to separate the transcendent ideals that are in Scripture from the historically and culturally specific elements that are problematic to modern hearts and ears. And to understand that it's not an all or nothing proposition to engage in Scripture, to engage in tradition. God also gave us a brain and the ability, with some integrity, to filter out those values from our Scriptures which transcend time and those values which are part of who we are, but they are relegated to a ancient worldview, and that's okay, and that finding that balance is not compromising the value of the book and those traditions. Four, through spirit at the center, I hope to offer a path back to these values, traditions, and community that are too easily dismissed in adolescence. And most importantly, and I want to go off on this a little bit, I want to rescue reasonable, progressive, inclusive faith, a faith that most of us respect and cherish from the extremes of fundamentalism and atheism, celebrated and exploited by the 24/7 chum-seeking shark that is our media. And I don't mean to make the media the ultimate boogeyman, but I think in this case, the media has really done, willingly and out of ignorance, a disservice to how the majority of our nation views religion. In the first part of the book, what I seek to do is to diagnose the issue. Part of it is that, again, what do people see when they see religion broadly speaking, those who are peripheral, those who are marginal? When they see religion in the media or they see it in our broader culture, they see usually one of two things. One, they see religious fundamentalists. Either it's Islamic radicals blowing up buses or homegrown religious right activists seeking to influence public policy, or seeking to create an environmental policy based on, apocalypticism, so that, hey, you don't have to worry about saving the trees because Jesus is going to come back and, be the forester for all of us. All of these things turn people off, especially young people. The symbol in my mind, and I've seen this countless times, when they want to have a substantive debate on the media, on television, on religion, on television, the classic thing is a CNN split screen. We have a clean-cut, Ralph Reed-looking, kind of born-again, kind of very square and straight person on one side, and then what I describe as, and this is a little bit of a pushing of the reference here, but I hope you get it, the love child of Wavy Gravy and Phyllis Diller on the other side. Someone representing religious questions questioning is the most radical dropout from, Evergreen or Reed, or just a whacked out, the most extreme person on the other side. And people say, if that's what religion has to offer, if this is the public representation of religion, I don't want any part of it. And you see the same kinds of diametric, overly simplistic, one-dimensional bifurcations again and again in the media. Now, media is a key part of the problem, and not for the usual complaints that culture, diminishing culture, sex, violence, whatever, but because the media is driven, one, by spectacle, and two, it's guided by ignorance. If you've talked to people in the media about religion and you try to get a story out about religion or people interview you, they really don't know anything. Even religion reporters, it's a beat they're covering, but they have no or very little theological background and understanding. The axiom for the media is if it bleeds, it leads, and I changed that to the craziest creed leads in religion, in the media. And if you couple all of that with obsessive coverage of any abuses, or any abuses in the Catholic Church, or Baptist ministers who run off with money, or rabbis who have affairs, or any of that. If you couple that with all of what the media does in terms of oversimplifying what religion is about, you have the perfect stew of stereotype, sensationalism, and unwarranted rejection. Now, to show you the example of what passes for thoughtful religious dialogue. A few weeks ago, Nightline was filmed here at Mars Hill Church with Mark Driscoll, Mark Driscoll and a woman representing Hookers for Jesus. And on the other side, a kind of renegade Episcopal minister and Deepak Chopra, representing Mark Driscoll and Hooker for Jesus is the religious belief view, and Deepak Chopra and a renegade preacher are the faith orientation. And what were they talking about? What kind of cookies to serve afterward at the reception? No. They were talking about, does Satan and evil actually exist? Okay? And